Everybody, it's me, Andrew. Get out into nature and tune in for yourself. Resonate with the Earth's electromagnetic field via 432 hertz, the universal frequency. Balance out psychologically and emotionally, and further strengthen your brain and your heart's coherence as well. Get a plant based diet going for yourselves today and nurture yourself right back into life. We are literally herbivores in our nature. Further balance out your physical body's pH level and to get with alkalinity, then you can generate some static electricity. Send me some love telepathically, set attention to your mind, and set intention to communicate. That is all there is to telepathy. You are now tuning in to great days. So today I'm going to talk on fasting for ego dissolution. Ego dissolution coming from fasting specifically, okay? Uh, because fasting is very, very beneficial for being able to feed the spirit rather than the ego, right? It allows you to transcend the ego the more you fast. So I'm just going to talk on fasting and how the ego dissolves away naturally the more you begin to fast within your life. Okay, so let's get right into this. So the ego, very simply, is a sense of self-identity, right? It's a dimension of mind intelligence that is very, very minute, and that we have fixed our consciousness within, and grew many identifications and attached ourselves with those identifications which is the ego, right? Who we're identifying ourselves with or as, and usually it's the body. So what fasting can do for you. There's many methods to be able to transcend the ego or dissolve away the ego, but one of them is fasting. And what fasting can do for you, if you fast more often, it can allow you to dissolve away the identifications that you have overly attached yourself with, because fasting allows you to distance yourself from the physical body, very simply. And the physical body is where most of the over identification is coming from, right? So um, the more you begin to fast, the more that you're going to start naturally distancing yourself from the physical body, and even I want to say even the mind, right? Because the less you feed the physical body, the more that the no the more you keep food away from the physical body, the less it is able to exist, right? So it's kind of like it kind of goes through a decay process, and because it goes through this decay process, um, it's because it goes through this decay process, it kind of allows for like that over attachment to dissolve away, because it's slowly the body's dissolving. You know, it's growing weaker, and it knows what can happen if the body is starved enough. It's gonna die. So it begins like this mediary distancing, right? Um, and that's what you want to you want that distancing that can come from fasting, right? So you don't want to feed the body all the time. You want to you want to be able to fast um, a little bit, at least a little bit, so that you can so that you can dissolve away that attachment to the identifications or the ego, right? But fasting isn't the only method. If you don't like fasting, there's plenty of other methods to do that. But fasting is one of the most beneficial, one of the most easiest, um, and very, 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 very healthy for you as well. You know, not enough people are fasting, so it's definitely something to do, especially if you're trying to dissolve away the ego. You can fast for prolonged periods of time, and you can probably come to an ego death, you know, just through fasting for enough days. Um, Maybe with meditation, or maybe also with yoga, you know, or maybe if you are fasting quite a bit, the distance that you can accumulate from the body can kind of show you that the ego isn't as isn't as in control as you think it is, because the ego doesn't actually exist, right? So the fasts, they can do this for you. They can distance you from the physical body, and they can even slow the mind down vastly. You know, you don't when you're eating, you're overthinking because there's a lot of energy that you aren't, if you're not using the energy from the food that you're eating, especially if you're overeating, it goes into the head, and you begin to overthink things. You know, you're just going to be sitting there thinking excessively, right? But when you're fasting, you don't have thought as much, because uh there's not the energy you're getting from food, right? Especially food comes with a lot of corruption, so there's a lot of corrupted thought with food as well, and you're kind of just swimming in that if you aren't channeling out the thought properly, you know. Uh, so there's going to be a lot of corrupted thought process when you're eating, or when you're overeating especially, and you're just kind of not doing anything with the energy, you know. So fasting will kind of just allow you to alleviate some of the thought, and even bring down some of the corrupted thought as well, um, which probably all thought is corrupted anyway, right? So you want to try and get rid of that. um, if you can, meditation is going to be the way to do that. So you meditate in fast, um, and it's going to be very, very beneficial for you. It's going to eventually allow you to distance yourself enough from the physical body to allow you to come into a state of transcendentalism, or transcending the ego, you know, where you're going to have a mystical experience, a very, very profound experience that can change your life. It can happen to anybody, and you don't actually need a substance to have a very profound experience. It can just happen to anybody for no reason at all. You know, even without the fasts and even without meditation, it can just happen to people, right? Which is pretty much experiencing God. So, um, one of the ways to accelerate that type of an experience is through fasting, right? Um, or you can kind of like direct yourself to have one of these experiences uh, by fasting, okay? Um, and you can literally start with intermittent fasts. You don't actually need to do full 24-hour fasts, um, unless you want to. It's very, very simple. You just don't have to eat. You can do anything else, and just allow your body to be for a day, you know. And it feels amazing. So um, that's pretty much going to be it. The ego is easily dissolved away through fast. So the more you begin to fast, the more you're going to dissolve away the ego, right? All conflicts will slowly dissolve away. More um, arguing, things like this, they're going to dissolve away very, very easily. Um, Fear will also dissolve away, you know. Um, you're not being a pig, you know. When you're being a pig, you get scared easily. When you're overeating, doing things like this all the time, you can get scared easily, because there's a lot of corruption that comes with the food, you know. And the corruption, it breaks your system down. Um, and when your system's breaking down and it can't function properly, then you're prone to get scared, because your system's not functioning properly, right? Because there's corruption in the food, and that's where most of it comes from. So the more you can fast, the more fearless you're going to be, because the ego and fear are synonymous with each other. The ego fears, it's a very, very small entity, uh, but the more you fast, the more bliss you're going to have, right? Um, and the more lighthearted you're going to be as well. Lightheartedness is needed for everybody. So lightheartedness comes very, very naturally with fasting. Okay. Um, I figured the more, or I've seen that the more you eat, especially like overeating, you grow dense, like not only physically, but you're growing dense on multiple levels. And it's very, very hard to keep a connection with source, which is the core, which is the heart. So fasting allows you to lighten up your body's density, and then allowing the density for your body to lighten up, your core can lighten up as well. The heart will literally be ignited, and then you're going to have a sacred heart from fasting, because you're allowing for the energy, the kundalini energy, to come up naturally through fasting. And if it can ignite at the heart chakra, then you become very, very lighthearted, you know. But that's going to be it for today's video. I do thank everybody for watching once again. Peace out, one love, and have a great evening.